Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine Curtis. I've been doing VBS for many a year. All right, so unfortunately, this is a PDF, so it's a little sideways. I'm not going to go through the whole thing with you, but just give you a really quick overview so that you can kind of start to picture yourself in that space if you haven't been able to be there before. But this first piece of the layout, I'm going to scroll very slowly through. This is the main level. So it's showing the main level of the church building itself and then a little bit of the layout. And we have 10 villages this year, which it's been a long time since we had that. We've got about 100 participants, and 3 of those villages will be the preschool and pre-kindergarten kids. And then the older 1st through 5th grade groups will be meeting in their villages on the front lawn, and each of these squares represents an awning where they'll have their village. You're going to have your big supply bag, and it's going to have your binder with your attendance, and it's going to have some extra pens and some Band-Aids. It's going to have each day's activity list. It'll have your daily schedule, and I'll just show those to you all in just a little bit. And you'll come down to the Fellowship Hall, Luther Hall, each morning, and you'll have your table with your color tablecloth on it, and you'll be able to pick up those supplies each day that you will need. Crafts is going to be on the other side of kind of the blacktop area, and I was running out of room, so these are more like squished rectangles instead of squares, but we should have 4 to 5 awnings to cover the different craft activities. And we'll have a first aid kit kind of out in this area. I'm guessing we'll probably just put it on the craft supply cart that will roll out that has everything like glue and scissors and markers and that kind of thing. And that way it's very accessible to the villages when they're out in the village meeting for games and for crafts. And the games section will have this kind of south area where there's a lawn with a little shade from a tree, but also if there's some blacktop games. And I can't remember any games off the top of my head, but I'm sure we'll have some blacktop games. And I know for sure we're gonna have some water games. So that will be for sure. So the kitchen will bring out pre-baked bread for you and fruit, and then just bring your water bottle every day. The parking lot is kind of on the east side of the building, and there are several entrances, but there's a center entrance to the building that you'll come in. We will have a mission rotation, and we're going to have a guest join us each day of VBS from some of the community mission organizations that our congregations partner with. Some of those are PADS, Glen Ellen Children's Resource Center, Elam Christian Services, Bridge Communities, and the Glen Ellen Food Pantry. We'll be doing a food collection the entire week. So not only participants we invite to bring food, but we are also inviting volunteers to bring food. So the kids will bring them, and when you take them into gathering time in the morning, we'll have a spot on this stage down in the fellowship hall, and we'll just collect them there all week so we kind of get excitement and see how much we can get. Pastor Joe from Faith Lutheran will be leading our gathering time in the morning. And he did that as well back in 2019. And his wonderful guitar playing and singing. Mission will be out on the north courtyard of Faith. And that's kind of a partially covered area. So that'll give us some shade. And we'll have some information that they'll give to us, and we'll be doing some projects. Like we'll be putting together snack packs for the children who use the resources at the Glen Ellen Children's Resource Center during the summer. And not only will we be packing a snack pack, but we're going to have some pre-printed jokes or inspirational phrases that we're going to put in the snack pack, and we're going to have some markers so we can color the lunch bags. And there'll be just kind of like a happy little hello and pick-me-up for those kids during the week when they have their snack time. If it's raining, Mission will go down into Luther Hall, downstairs to Luther Hall, and they're going to be kind of in the same half where we have gathering time. So we'll have gathering time on the west half We'll have Mission on a rainy day, just kind of over here on the north end, which I know feels so strange because I'm saying it's the north end, but it's on the bottom of the page. Just doesn't seem right. Crafts, if it's a rainy day, will be down in the other half of Luther Hall. Also in the lower level is the kitchen and the snacks. Have your little attendance sheet, and you'll have an opportunity each day to select a couple of the kids and your co-leader perhaps, or even you, depending how you do it, to go downstairs during village time and to pick up the tray with your village's color or fruit name, bring it to your village, and trying to keep the germ spreading, the virus spreading as minimal as possible. You'll have another check on your attendance sheet, and it'll be just 2 of your participants, your villagers per day, who will get the opportunity to wash their hands with the sanitizer we'll provide and actually do the mixing of the dough. So that brings me to a little bit more information. Is because we have 10 villages, we ran out of colors. So the older 1st through 5th grade villages will be our rainbow villages: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And then our 3 preschool pre-K villages will be our fruit villages, and they will be grape, lemon, and lime. And 2 of those preschool pre-K villages will have their village location downstairs next to Luther Hall. Lemon and lime will be in these 2 classrooms down here. I'm going to scroll back up because the grape village will be on the main level, but they'll have their kind of village time there. And they are in their classrooms for village time all the time, whereas the older kids are out on the lawn. If it's a rain day and the outdoor rainbow villages need to come in, this is where we get really creative in sharing our spaces. The violet village will be able to have their rain village time in the chancel of the sanctuary. And then something that we did not do in 2019 is we will be using the upper level of faith in some of those spaces. And the first space we'll be using, I scrolled kind of past here. Whoop. Restrooms. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong level. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So I have youth room envy because Faith has this fabulous youth room, which is in fact large enough that we'll be able to host 2 of the villages at the same time. So there'll be 2 village periods where we're going to have blue in this part. Oh, I just realized I spelled orange wrong. We'll have blue kind of on the north end, and we'll have orange on the south end. And then alternating village times, green will be in there. And then in their choir room will be where the red and yellow villages will alternate if they have rain days. And I've indicated on this sheet a couple of the stairwells. The center stairs are the ones that we use the most, but since we didn't use the upper level that much or at all in 2019, I've also indicated the north stairs. Depending on which space a group might be in, those might be the fastest way to get in there. So that's kind of the layout. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. The next, which will be to our daily schedule. Every volunteer group, so each village gets 2 binders, and then like the crafts co-leaders, the games co-leaders, the mission hostess, the snacks, the gathering time leader, Pastor Joe, they all get a binder. And that binder will have all sorts of information that they need to do their jobs for the morning. And the schedule is one of the biggest pieces of that. And if there's a pocket on the outside of the binder that they have, then they will have it on that outside pocket, because you're always looking at it. You're always looking at that daily schedule. And let me bring that up. And one of the things that we do make it easy for the village chiefs and for all of the volunteers is we have a floater that walks around and rings the cowbell. And the cowbell is the signal that the villages are then to move on to their next activity. And there's a 5-minute passing period between each activity, which is really, really helpful for those preschool, pre-K villages because they kind of meander along and take their time. But you know what? It's VBS and it's all good. So I, as a village chief, don't feel pressure to get there as fast as you can. So if you have like the littler villages, how they go on their own time. And up here you'll see that we've divided it per each village. So at any given time, you can see where that village will be. So for instance, perhaps we have a villager who had a dentist appointment first thing in the morning, and their parent or caregiver is bringing them a little late to Vacation Bible School. Well, first of all, if they're in Red Village, that's a visual cue because each village has a banner that represents their village, and each village has bandanas for both the village chiefs and assistant chiefs as well as the participants and all of the volunteers. So anyone that is participating or volunteering or leading Vacation Bible School, you will be able to easily identify them because they will have one of our name tags and they will have a bandana of some sort. Part of the fun of the bandanas is how creative can the kids get. Sometimes they wear them like kerchiefs on their head or around their neck like cowgirls and cowboys. My favorite's when everybody does a sling and looks like they have a broken arm. So if any time during VBS, if there's somebody that's wandering around that doesn't have a name tag or a bandana, flag one of the floaters or one of us leaders, and we can help that person and get them to where they might need to be. There are other ministries that are going on during the day at Faith. So they have an adult program called Essie. So throughout the morning, there may be Essie guests being dropped off and brought in. There is a preschool in the lower level, and so there might be some kids being dropped off. So we always need to be aware that there are some other folks there and assist them to get where they need to be if they need to do it. And if a parent is bringing their child in, they can stop and ask one of the floaters, my child's in the red group and it's 10:10, and that person will be able to say, well, they're on village time, so they'll be out on the front lawn, look for the red banner. So that's a unique resource that you'll have. And let's see if I can share my screen. Here we go. And this is the daily overview for Vacation Bible School. And as you may have seen in some of the emails that you received, our Vacation Bible School is called Compassion Camp. And our theme is changing the world through loving kindness. And we selected a scripture verse to go with this, and it's from the parable of the Good Samaritan, when Jesus told the people that were listening to the parable to go and do likewise, to go as the Good Samaritan did and help those in the world that need help. And each day of the week, we have a specific focus that's related to compassion and loving kindness. And Monday is all around me, and that's the day that Kayla, is one of our leaders, has been putting that day together and picking the crafts and selecting the games. The next day is for myself, which is sometimes something that we don't always think about. So for us as VBS leaders and volunteers, let's have compassion for ourselves as well and take care of ourselves. Wednesday is to the neighbor, and that actually will be the story of the Good Samaritan. And Wednesday is Pentecost, where we learn about what some folks call the birth of the Christian church, when the Holy Spirit came and the Apostle Peter preached, and I don't know, is it like 3,000 people were baptized that day? It was a big number, and I have to think that Peter's voice was getting a little rough by the end of the day.
It was a big day, that's for sure.
And then the last day is going to be a little bit different. If you have been part of VBS in the past, it's going to be a little bit different with a little bit more flexibility in what we're doing that day, where we're calling it our Friday Fun Day. This is a day that's still in process as we figure it out. It's the last day of VBS. We'll have more information to share as it gets closer, but we're planning on kind of bringing back the favorite games of the week, which will likely be water games. We're going to have parachutes. Maybe we're going to have some labyrinths. We're going to have popcorn. We're just trying to plan a lot of really fun things, face painting, and all of those things that make for a really festive atmosphere. So this is just a general overview of the different activities in the day and each of the daily focuses that we have. Now, depending on what area you're volunteering in, you will have your own specific list of what your day will look at. And we try to put these together for all of the volunteer areas, all the volunteer rotations and villages, so that you know specifically what you're doing where and when. And here is the location sheet, which will be included in that information, so that you know, okay, it's a rain day. This is where we need to go. So we try and have that information available. Crafts. So this is the draft. The crafts are a work in process right now. So what you might see on the screen right now might not be quite the same day or the same craft, but I will be sending a link to this out to the whole craft team so you can get a preview of it before VBS. I think there's a lot of excitement for tradition in VBS. Like, there's certain things that everyone just loves to do. We try and bring those back, and we make sure and bring those back so there's usually 2 days per craft. So if somebody doesn't get to doing a beanbag ball, they'll have a chance to do it on another day. This will be one of the things that you'll see as a volunteer. We have a great big poster board, and each day of the week it will have the focus. It will actually have the name of the folks that are leading VBS that week, VBS crafts that week, and then just a step-by-step guide of where you'll be and what you'll be doing and what time you'll be doing it. So it's much more detail-oriented than that kind of rainbow daily schedule. And then so in your binder you will see just the general information and when to arrive, where and what are each of the rotations that we're doing, general information like wear old clothes, put on sunscreen and insect repellent, get plenty of sleep and eat a good breakfast, and bring your own water bottle are some of the really good tips to do as a village chief or assistant village chief. And if you haven't already had the opportunity to do so, there are links when we send this out that will take you to our VBS Safe Sanctuary policy that will give you, the thing that I really like about it is it actually gives you concrete information on how to conduct yourself in the interactions that you have, not only with the children that you're leading and assisting, but also your co-leaders. What are the appropriate behaviors? What are the welcoming behaviors? And what are the behaviors that if we see happening between participants, we know this is something that we need to intervene on and redirect into a way that's more positive. Our theme is changing the world with loving kindness. And as leaders, one of the things that we need to remember is the kids are looking at how we're behaving, and they're going to learn from how we interact with each other and with others more than anything that we're actually going to tell them. So one of the roles of leading and volunteering is providing Jesus' face and hands to everyone. And you've probably heard that over and over again, but I can't stress it enough. So that's some of the information here. And the village chief role is pivotal because that's such a relationship building role because you get to be with the children for the full morning. As you scroll down the village chief information, you'll see you've got all your details there on where to be, when to go. And when you're in things like gathering time, when Pastor Joe is dismissing the villages, he'll dismiss the preschool, pre-K villages first so they can leave without getting run over by the bigger kids. And then at least on Monday, he'll likely dismiss them by where they're going. So it might be, okay, red and orange, you all are going to village time, so you can move out to your villages. Green and yellow, you're going to mission time. So you're going to go up these stairs to the courtyard for mission. And that type of thing. As you scroll through to the end of each day's pack of information, this is going to tell you specific information about that day. What are you going to be doing on your blankets? Monday is always the day that the kids get to decorate their bandanas. Can't stress enough. Put names on everything. When you're helping kids with crafts, the first thing you do is get that child's name on that craft somewhere, because we don't want broken-hearted kids who have gotten their crafts mixed up with each other or misplaced and we don't know whose it is. And if it's got a name on it, and if there's space, the village, even better, because then at the end of the day during closing time, we can put those out there, or we can put them on the table and make sure that the kids get those things back. And at the end of each morning, you will collect as a village chief the name tags and the bandanas. And I think you guys usually as village chiefs will kind of tie the bandanas to the name tags. Yeah. So that makes it really easy each morning when they come in to pass those out. And each day we'll have different game ideas. So when you're in village time, maybe you've got a really high energy group. You're going to have a blow up beach ball, and there'll be some information about different beach ball games you can play with them. There's some team building games and that kind of thing. And then this section has the daily focus, and it has some discussion questions. I think we're going to be cutting these down. After discussion as a leader team, we recognize the village chiefs don't always have that much time to do discussion. So, if you can throw a question in there when you're eating your bread or something, feel free to do that if you're able to. And we have a snack prayer for everybody to use every day of the week. And then we'll usually have some kind of highlight about who is our mission partner for that day. So here's another example of a game and other activities that you can do. So we'll provide hula hoops on Monday. And then another piece that is at the back of each of the binders, whether you're a village chief or a craft leader or a gathering time leader, is information about the warning signs of an anaphylactic allergic reaction, which is a life-threatening allergic reaction, and what some of those symptoms are. We have a couple of participants who do carry an EpiPen with them. Now, it's dependent upon what their caregivers would like you to do, but typically an EpiPen is only good if it's with the person who needs it. So if you're a village chief that has somebody in your village that has an EpiPen, we'll ask that one of the leaders carries it around with them. Generally, the child doesn't, because it's too easy for them to leave it behind. I will send electronic copies to everybody either the night before or maybe Sunday if we've really got our act together. And there will be links, active links in those digital ones, where you can watch a video on how to administer an EpiPen and what to do. You always need to call 911 as well. So it's not just using the EpiPen, it's also making sure that we get the professionals there as well. There will be floaters during the morning of VBS. I will be a floater every day there and will be available should you have questions, should a child have questions. We will have first aid kits not only at the games and craft area, we'll have one down in snacks. And we will have one in another space, probably like the information desk, or perhaps maybe up in the upper level. So there's one close to the villages that might be up there on a rainy day. So those will be available. And as I mentioned, the village chiefs also get Band-Aids. Sometimes that's all you need when there's a boo-boo. A little Band-Aid, a little love, and things are good to go. Kayla and Pastor Anders, if there's something that comes to your mind as a question or something that you'd like to share that maybe I've forgotten to share.
Can't think of anything. I just want to reiterate that I think Catherine did a really great job of highlighting all the things that are the same from years past and the things that we are adapting for new things. But also I think there's going to be a good handful of kids who've not experienced this before. So I think some of them are just going to be excited to be together. So some of that nostalgia might be missing for them. But we're just really excited to get started again, get back to some of these familiar rhythms, even if we're doing them in slightly different ways.
For sure. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and going off of that, I think it's important to explain everything like it's everyone's first time. So even if you've done this before, you've been in it before, someone most likely hasn't, or it's been 3 years and they totally forgot. So just come in with that mindset too, and have fun and build relationships. That's really what this is about. So.
Yes, that's a wonderful reminder for all of us that everyone is coming in and it's a fresh year, and we get to meet new people, we get to see old friends, we get to do things that we love, and we get to experience something that might become our new favorite tradition. Maggie?
I have a question. Yeah. I know that in the past, a lot of, especially the younger kids, do like, touching the leaders, like hugging and other things. And I wanted to know how much is, with COVID, how much you want us to prevent that from happening. And
right.
Yeah.
Great question. So let me kind of address the bigger area of COVID and COVID protocols. With the schools and the state having masking optional, our congregations are following that in our individual congregations, and we're going to be following that at Vacation Bible School. The one area that might be an exception is the church nursery, but ultimately it's everybody's choice. So we're not really limiting anything. In everybody's everyday interactions, if our children and our volunteers are participating, they are welcome and invited to wear a mask if that makes them feel safe for themselves and for their neighbors. But other than that, we're not going to limit those interactions, because that's part of the relationship building is, being able to be together. And another thing I'll be doing as it gets closer to VBS is I will be sending out an email to the village chiefs who are partnered with each other and doing like a little introduction for you and your fellow village chief, as well as sending you the information about your villagers so that you can read through that and get an idea, oh, I've got siblings in my group, or, oh, these kids love Legos, or, anything that will help you, kind of have that little bit of information to assist in welcoming the participants. And then I will do the same for all of those other rotation areas, or if not myself, one of the VBS leaders will do it. So for those of you that might be watching this and will be part of games or part of snacks, you'll be receiving that information so you can see who else you'll be volunteering alongside in that particular rotation and who will be there each day. We have a few folks that aren't able to be there for all 5 days, and we'll have a schedule that you'll receive so you can see. And for instance, there'll be some folks that are volunteers that may need to arrive a little late or may need to leave a little bit early. So we finesse the scheduling and the personnel in each area so that there is the appropriate amount of leaders to participants so that we have a safe ratio, and so that no one feels overwhelmed, and so that everyone feels safe. The last thing I have is just Again, if you haven't had an opportunity in the welcome email you've received to find that Safe Sanctuary VBS link and click on it, it will take you to the policy. At the end of it, there will be another link that you will follow to a digital documentation. And that's got 4 parts, and you will complete 3 of those parts, because there's one area that if you're 18 or older, you'll complete. And then there's one if you're 17 or younger, then your parent will complete on your behalf. And when you finish completing those digital documents, scroll back up to the top, and there's a green submit button, and click on that, and it will send it to me, and we just have that on file confidentially just for us leaders to have. And if for some reason you're having a problem, just zip me an email, zip one of the leaders a note or an email, and we can assist you with that. Or if you'd like to just print it out. Some folks find it's just simpler if they have a printer at home to do that. I think for now, that should give everyone who's joining us right now in the moment, or anyone that we're welcoming as you're watching this as a recording, that you'll be receiving some final emails that have information, but please do not hesitate to reach out to the leaders that you know or you're familiar with and ask those questions that you have. And we are so excited for Monday to come around, Monday the 20th, and that wonderful excitement and energy as everybody arrives. It's the greatest feeling. It is just wonderful. So I would like to welcome you all.